Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Come on in, y'all. Salute Nanima Watch. Salute Cheese. Salute J Crow. Okay, TT, give me a few minutes. Love, be right back. Okay. Yes, please make sure you're subbed to the channel, Just Me TT. Make sure you hit the like, share the live, hit that post notification bell so you receive all notifications on the content going on over here. Welcome in the building, everybody. Glad to see everybody. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday. We are in almost to the finish line, y'all. The week started off already crazy and busy for me. Appointments, things like that. So, weather changes, y'all. I think it was in the low 40s, mid 50s when I woke up. Kind of chilly. Had to put a jacket on, had a hoodie on. By midday, so before 1, maybe by 12:30, we had hit 77 degrees, y'all. It's crazy. So be cautious that this is a trick bag weather. A lot of people are sick, getting over the cold, getting over flus, getting over COVID. I know a couple people that did have COVID. So y'all still wear y'all's masks. Be careful, bundle up. Don't go outside in no shorts, no bikinis. It is not that type of weather, y'all. It's trick bag weather. So everybody stay safe and healthy. Got a couple announcements for the channel. As you all know, we are covering Kei'Mani Latigue's case. I am going to do this live today. Excuse me. And then put a pause on it because we have some other cases to discuss and some other topics to get to. But as this case continues to develop and we keep a very close eye on things, I will be coming live and giving y'all the updated information. Tonight, we are going to dig into Darnell Jones' criminal background rather. Get an idea, look into who he is, because a lot of questions are being brought up about him. If this was his daughter, what would make him want to do this to his own daughter? It's a lot of speculations, a lot of false information being put out there. I learned a lot over the weekend, following up on doing my research on this case, because you guys, when we get deep into these cases, it drains your spirit. It really does. This is a child. This is a baby whose life was taken. So it's not easy to go through this content every day. It isn't. You have to take a mental break. That's what journalism is. You got to stay sane, healthy. You got to make sure your mental is on the up and up to even be able to come live and go on podcasts and go on these platforms and have these conversations about these things. So sad, you guys. I just keep seeing her face. Beautiful little girl. She had the biggest smile I couldn't imagine. Kei'Mani did turn 14 on last Friday. And everybody who knows me, you all that know me, know that I myself have a 14-year-old little girl. And as a mom, it breaks my heart. It really does. So, again, rest in peace to Kei'Mani. Fly high, baby girl. The outpouring of love and support that you are getting here down on earth, the people that want justice for you, is just commendable. The community definitely did come together for Kei'Mani. People rallied around. The willing participants, the family members and close associates, teachers, friends at her school, just rallied around them to show the love and support that they're going to need to get over this tragedy. I want to make a point to also give you guys some awareness. If you see anything, and I say become a mandate reporter, even if you're not legally a mandate reporter. It is a due diligence for all of us to speak out when we see something wrong with these babies. They go into school. They may not feel like they have an outlet, somebody that they can trust to talk to. So try to learn how to become an advocate for these babies, y'all. We need more foster parents, strong, willing foster parents in the United States. It ain't about a check. These babies were brought into the world. They didn't ask to be here, and they need somebody to love them and guide them properly, because the violence that is taking place against our youth is despicable, and something is going to have to change. Or we're going to continue to hear stories like Kei'Mani's and have our hearts broken behind this. So we got to do better. Let's rally around as a community. Let's try to figure out some solutions, okay? So shout out to everybody that's continuing to cover this story, bring new awareness. This is a big one, y'all. It's a lot of loops and turns, and you feel like you're on a roller coaster with this story. So shout out to everybody who is taking a stance to talk about it and continue to put her name out there. Hashtag Kei'Mani Latigue, okay? So we are definitely going to get into Darnell's criminal background. Shout out to the Toledo Blade. That is a credible news reporting source for me, you guys. I have came on YouTube. I've gone on Facebook. I've been on TikTok. I've been all over the place. And some of this information that y'all throwing out here is crazy, okay? So when you do these reports, make sure you're gaining credible information, okay? We don't want to report on anything that isn't true, any false information that hurts the message that's being put out for Kei'Mani, okay? It's all about justice for her. So please make sure, and a good friend did tell me that, TT, please make sure your resources are credible. So I'm keeping that in mind. Also, I am still working on the nonprofit. I just did a module course online with Polaris.com, and what that is it's bringing awareness on missing persons and sex trafficking, and building a network so we can merge the two, okay? And that's what I'm trying to do for the nonprofit. Everybody that's missing isn't a runaway. That's the message. Everybody should be getting an Amber Alert. This is an issue. Kei'Mani did not get an Amber Alert. And they said, and the detectives made a statement that they considered that she might have ran away. She might have been a runaway. We now know that that was not the case, and this young lady was unalived by somebody she knew. So this is why it's very important, and it's imperative for us to spread the message that we need to start connecting these sex crimes that are being committed against our youth to possibly the sex trafficking network. That's an epidemic here in the United States. So I'm going to continue to do my research, educate myself on what's going on, what's been going on, and I'm going to continue to come back and report it on you all. Also, before the live started, I dropped some links. Please make sure that you are going over, hitting those links, and subscribing to those channels, okay? So we got Not On My Watch with Watch Tribe. She's doing big things over there on the Mo3 case. Please check her out, y'all. Sub to her channel. She's amazing, okay? And she'll keep you laughing as well. Make sure you subscribe to Vino Entertainment TV. She'll be going out real soon feeding the homeless. And she's also came up with an additional channel called CK Ladies of Generation. And she's going to be doing big things over there for the ladies, just strictly for the ladies. So make sure you're sub to her as well. Also, shout out and go subscribe to That Boy DC with Hood Talk. That Boy DC. That is for men only, and they're going to be doing some big things over there surrounding for men and information for the men and rallying together for men. And shout out to Tori. Please make sure you go and subscribe to him. He's trying to get his channel off the ground. He's been a big supporter of mine, and I definitely wanted to pay homage and make sure that I drop the links of the people that have supported me the most over here on YouTube. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content, y'all. First and foremost, I did see the video of the grandmother more in detail, speaking on her role and not necessarily knowing if Darnell is Kei'Mani's biological father, because she states that the biological mother has said several times to her that he wasn't. We do not know that to be true or not, and they have not identified that through DNA or anything else if he is the actual biological father. So we're going to be keeping an eye out on that, because Darnell is still recovering in the hospital here in Columbus, Ohio, following gunshot wounds he obtained through SWAT. Okay, so when that bolo went out on him, they were able to locate him via a tip that was called in from his girlfriend. So yes, you guys, we are going to definitely make sure that we put that message out there. The ex-girlfriend is the one who turned Darnell in. Okay. According to what the girlfriend said, he was acting mysteriously. His behavior was erratic, and she needed to tell somebody. So she contacted the police out there in Toledo. They advised her to take his calls. She tried herself to record the phone conversations, and I am now learning that the police recorded phone conversations between her and Mr. Darnell Jones. And what they learned is that he did flee to Columbus, okay, here in my city. He did flee here. He was wanted. Those charges were put on him. Not not the murder at that time, but definitely for kidnapping. It's being said that he has since being captured and apprehended, confessed to unaliving Kei'Mani, but there's a discrepancy in that as well. We first heard this from the grandmother, who they said at the time should not have actually leaked any of that information. Excuse me. So it's real weird to me, you guys, and I got to be honest. If she leaked that information and she wasn't supposed to, she might be hurting the investigation. What we also learned was that Darnell said that he went over to the house somewhere between the 17th and the 18th of March and sat with Kei'Mani because she was afraid that someone was breaking into the home, or she was nervous thinking that somebody was breaking into the home. And he said he went there with a cousin. We now have identified the cousin. Okay. So his actual name has not been released to the media. He is not listed on any paperwork as a suspect either. However, we do have a photo of him. Okay. There's also a cousin. I do believe she's somehow attached to Kei'Mani's biological mother, and the cousin reported to a blogger from off of the Bigo channel that he was a dark-skinned male in a black hoodie. Now, I do not know where they're getting this information. Again, I don't want to repeat anything that may not be true, but this is just what little details of things that we missed and we did not talk about on the last live that I'm filling in for you all, okay? When it comes to Kei'Mani's grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, what we have found out about her is she didn't have custody of Kei'Mani but for maybe 6 months. Okay, even though Kei'Mani is alleged that she was being bounced back and forth between a godmother and her biological grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, she actually did not obtain legal custody until recently. Okay, so I found that to be a little off and a little strange as well. Dorothy is being named as well, she's not being named as a suspect. We talked about it last live. She was escorted out of her home in handcuffs. People speculated that she was being arrested, but she said she was doing it for her own protection. So Toledo police thought that it would be in her best interest to remove her because a mob of people were outside making threats to her, saying that she knew more. And, the community just became outraged at some point. And you all saw those videos on TikTok. Dorothy Latigue is standing strong and saying that she had nothing to do with the disappearance or unaliving of her granddaughter. She also has spoken very loudly against the biological mother, saying that she's never been a fixture in Kei'Mani's life. And even though she was allowing visitations between Darnell Jones and Kei'Mani, she had suspicion that if he was even her biological father. So what bothers me about her statement is, if you weren't sure that this was her biological father, why would you allow her to go off with him? That just was negligent on her part alone. Okay. So yeah, if you believe that to be some negligence on her part, please drop a 1 down in the chat and we'll talk about it further. But I just wanted to fill in the blanks of that. what's being said and speculated right now concerning the case. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm getting ready to pull the information up, and we're just going to jump right on into Darnell and his background. So what I do know is that this is the affidavit or search arrest warrant obtained for Darnell concerning Kei'Mani, her disappearance. It says complainant being duly sworn states that Darnell Jones, defendant in Toledo, Lucas County, Ohio, on or about March 18, 2025, did violate ORC 2905.02A1, constituting a charge of abduction removed from place found in that. No person without privilege to do so shall knowingly do any of the following: by force or threat, remove another from the place where the other person is found, to wit, and then all of that legal stuff. Okay, this is the official arrest warrant. Welcome to the stage, not on my watch.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to log in on my tablet because I have to make a couple calls.
Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that she is alleged she was reported missing on March 18th. I think he was outside with Dorothy. They spoke to news reporters about her disappearance. He made a statement on the last time he was with her or seen her. And then this was filed that same day. So I found that to be pretty interesting, based off of conflicting stories that he had been given to the police at the time. Okay, so what we do know is that he made a statement that he dropped her off and then ended up going back over there because she called out of fear. And him and the cousin allegedly went over there and sat with her for an hour, left her there, and went on about their business. But what we do know is by the time Dorothy made it home that morning, she said the house was disheveled, the gasoline was on, you could smell it from outside. It was just a real disheveled scene. And that's when she got to making calls and learned that Kei'Mani did not attend school that morning. So I'm going to continue to say this. They knew more. It's stuff being covered up in this case. Okay. So we're going to continue to, as the case develops, we'll be over here making sure that we bring y'all that information. Okay, give me 1 second.
I'm right here.
Okay, can you take over for just a second? I got something stuck in my throat. I need a drink of water.
Okay, go ahead. Can you
Okay.
hold on, please? Hold on 1 second. Okay, not you. Not you. I'm on a call. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead, baby. Okay, please hit the like button, share the live. Any questions so far? Let me see who's in the chat. Hey, Jennifer, how are you today, love? How's it going? Salute, cheese. Please share the live. This is a really, really interesting story. And with this guy and his background, I'm probably guessing that he had no business being in the outside world, from my understanding. But I can't wait to see this guy's background and his charges and everything. So I'm basically really interested in this case. So it's already getting crazy. So from my understanding, I don't want to get ahead of anything. Hold on, no. But one thing I do know is that this guy should have never ever been out, and having a background of mental illness is something that I believe that they overlooked, and possibly his daughter's life could have been saved if they had him put away in a mental institution.
Yes, absolutely not on my watch. And thank you for running that synopsis down on him. Darnell's background was just disturbing, you guys. And I didn't tell. I sent the article to not on my watch.
Okay, now I'm gonna go on mute, love, so I
Yeah,
can get down.
and I discussed it in detail with Jennifer. But I said, my goodness, I got a report on this. It's very disturbing. Hey, Transparent Talk. Welcome to JusMe TT. Good to see you guys. Good to see you, love. Okay, so this is dated for March 29th of 2025. And again, this is a credible source because it's being reported through the Toledo Blade, okay? So directly from where he lives. It says, when Angela Silva saw her neighbor hurl two televisions off of the balcony of his second-story apartment one evening, dated in July of 2019, she decided to call the police. I don't know if he was drunk or what he was on, or if he was on drugs, but he was just so violent, Miss Silva told the Blade while recalling the events of that summer night. He was just throwing things out of the window, threw a couple TVs out the door, off the balcony. We kept hearing things crashing. We kept hearing crashing noises. As police were headed to the apartments in the 400 block of 4th Street, a second call came in from an anonymous caller who told police he saw a man choking a female on the second floor balcony of that same building. We all went out on the front porch and we were watching the whole thing go down, Miss Silva said. You could see it from right here from my side of the porch, that he had her over the balcony by her throat. And he was going to throw her off that balcony. She was screaming for her life. The man at the center of all this mayhem at the home on 4th Street in East Toledo that night was Darnell Jones, who nearly 6 years later would be charged with the unaliving and abduction in connection with the unaliving of his 13-year-old daughter, Kei'Mani Latigue. Police showed up within minutes of the first 911 call and ended up arresting Jones. While the victim that night, Jones's wife, Antonia Sullivan, declined to pursue charges against Jones, police had enough evidence and witness statements to proceed without her cooperation. Ms. Silva said she could routinely hear Jones and Ms. Sullivan arguing, as well as loud commotion coming from their home. Jones was then charged with a number of crimes that evening, including domestic violence and assault, a pair of first-degree misdemeanors. The assault charge ended up being dismissed at the request of the prosecutor, and Jones pleaded no contest to the domestic violence charge. Efforts to speak with Ms. Sullivan for this story at that time were unsuccessful. I think he did a long time in jail after that, didn't he? Miss Silva's husband, Jeremy Brighton, asked his wife. It didn't seem like we saw him after that. In reality, aside from 11 days he spent in jail after his initial arrest that night, Jones didn't spend another day in custody for the domestic violence charge. Toledo Municipal Court Judge Nicole Curry found him guilty and sentenced him then to 180 days in the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio. She suspended 100 days and gave him credit for 11 days. He already served in jail following his arrest. He was put on active probation for a year in order to complete treatment as directed by Unison Health after showing proof of having completed a substance abuse treatment program. The remaining of those 60 days of his sentence were suspended. Okay, let's go back a little bit and we're going to talk about the misdemeanor charges that he received at 19 years of age. The sentence was just the latest in a cycle of arrests and convictions for Jones that started in 2011 when the then 19-year-old was cited for disorderly conduct while intoxicated and resisting arrest. Over the coming years, he would be in and out of court on a series of slowly escalated offenses, oftentimes receiving sentences that emphasize treatment, counseling, and rehabilitation. In August of 2011, before his first two misdemeanor charges had made their way through the court system, Jones, who was then 20, was charged with arson, a fourth-degree felony for his role in trying to set a building on fire. According to court records, Jones used a handheld lighter to ignite flammable liquid that had been poured on the door of a business in the 1400 block of Jackson Street. He and another man were then seen fleeing the scene. In that case, Jones entered an Alford plea to a lesser charge of attempt to commit arson, a fifth-degree felony, and was found guilty by Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Ruth Ann Franks. In an Alford plea, a defendant does not admit guilt but acknowledges evidence is sufficient for a conviction that could result in a more severe sentence. He would be sentenced to 4 years of community control with a raft of conditions, including 3 months in the correctional treatment facility, a mental health and drug and alcohol treatment facility in downtown Toledo. He was also required to get a job, not use illicit drugs or alcohol, and obtain his GED. This felony conviction also meant he would never be able to ship, use, receive, purchase, own, transport, or otherwise possess a firearm or ammunition. This was a sanction that would generate multiple charges for Jones in the coming years. It was 4 years later that Jones, at that point, at 23 years of age, would be a suspect in a felonious assault that would earn him first degree charge of felon in possession of a firearm, a third degree felony. Just after 9 p.m. on January 31st of 2015, police rushed to place apartments in the 800 block of Walnut Street on a report that a black male in a gray sweatsuit had fired a gun and then ran from the scene. According to witnesses, Jones and another man were standing on the sidewalk when they started to quarrel. During the argument, Jones became angry, pulled out a gun, fired one round at the victim's feet, and ran off, according to police. He was chased by security into a nearby building in the 900 block of Walnut, where he was found hiding in a stairwell. In June of 2015, Jones will plead no contest and be found guilty by Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Gary Cook. He was sentenced to 2 years of community control. He was ordered to spend 6 months in the correctional treatment facility, then given 3 months of work release, placed on electronic monitoring, and directed to get a job, complete an alcohol and drug treatment program, and go for a mental health assessment. By November of 2015, he was found to have violated his community control and ordered back to the work release facility. Things did not go smoothly for Jones at work release while he was in the work release program. In January of 2016, he lost his temper when told by a corrections officer to finish his food before entering his dorm. According to police, Jones got into a verbal confrontation with the corrections officer and then punched a window, cracking it. Then assuming misdemeanor criminal damage charge, which would lead to another community control violation. His supervision was transferred to Cuyahoga County, where it appears he completed it in June of 2017. 2 months later, after being released, or after completing his community control program, he would add a felonious assault charge to his growing portfolio of criminal behavior. Just after noon on August 1 of 2017, emergency crews responded to the 1500 block of Monroe Street, where they found a man with a large gash across his face that separated his nose and upper lip down the middle, as well as a wound on his cheek. He would be hospitalized overnight and needed more than 20 stitches to close his wounds. The man told police he had confronted Jones a few blocks away at 18th and Monroe Street, accusing Jones of having robbed his nephew. The two men started to argue. Jones, who was working on his car, smashed the man in the face with the vehicle's alternator, the victim said. For his part, Jones told police the man approached him while he was working on his car, picked up an old battery, and smashed it in the street. And then started hitting Jones. Jones said he hit the man in self-defense. Okay, let's take a break right there.
I was going to tell you that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Probably was the first problem, but that's okay. But yeah, what you read right now should have been no way
right,
in heck that he should have been out.
right. After going back to community control and then having the ankle monitor and doing the violation, then I was like, what? Why is he still being able to get this short amount of time and get out and do these things that he's doing, right? And then if you guys listen closely, the violence is growing. Okay, it's getting worse. It's not, little stuff happening. Being caught with the firearm, shooting at somebody's feet. Now he's smashing an alternator into somebody's face. Like,
And also, too, it said that he had to undergo a mental evaluation, right? So,
mhm.
it doesn't seem like that happened. So if he was already on probation and he committed, what was it, 2 or 3 more crimes after that?
3.
It was 3 more crimes after that while on probation and was not violated. The state
Exactly.
should be responsible.
Absolutely. And that is what I am. That's what I've been saying this whole time. The state is responsible for what happened to Kei'Mani. Had they did what they were supposed to, she would still probably be here. Now, let me ask you this, Anonymous Watchers. You know a little bit more about this than I do. Don't it sound like he fell through the cracks? Like, where's the paperwork? Where's the paper trail? Because this is all in Toledo, Ohio. So, what, the
I
next
don't
judge ain't
know.
speaking to the other judge? Like, what's going on? It's just, it was
It
ridiculous.
looks like they fell through the somebody dropped the ball. Well, not somebody, a lot of people dropped the ball.
Yeah,
Um, like I said, remember me and you have had conversations before about over there in Ohio not getting things done. And remember,
right.
I'd be like, if we were in Arizona, girl, that would have, so it seems to be that state. Maybe, I don't know, because laws are different, right, in every
Yeah,
state.
yeah. But this is
So,
just ridiculous. I couldn't
absolutely it is.
believe what I was reading, and I kept saying in my mind, he should have been locked up. Like, if he would have just been locked up for things that he previously did and stayed put locked up, we wouldn't be discussing the unaliving of Kei'Mani. Okay, so just to give you guys that's listening in the chat in the bushes, salute Jamal. Welcome back to Just Me TT. Good to see you. Just to give everybody an idea, this is a serious offense that he's committed. And it's looking like it's going to pile up even bigger as we continue to hear, um, you know, developing information on the case. Okay, so let's get back into the report. Um, Police would also interview Jones's new wife, Antonio Sullivan, the same woman witnesses would later tell police he choked on the second floor balcony of his East Toledo apartment in 2019, who was sitting in Jones' car at the time. Okay. 7 whole days later, detectives charged Jones with felonious assault, a second-degree felony, for attacking the man with the alternator. He ended up pleading guilty, and in January of 2018, he was sentenced to 100 days in the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio. His jail time was suspended, and he was put on 2 years probation. 6 months later, he violated his probation again when he was arrested on June 1 of 2018 for disorderly conduct while intoxicated when police found him standing outside of his home on Star Avenue yelling and cursing at people. While waiting for his
Yeah, I
community.
gotta drop down 1 second. I'll be
Okay,
back
love.
up. I gotta drop down.
Okay. While waiting for his community control violation hearing for the June incident, Jones caught yet another charge on October of 2018. In the instance, police were summoned to a home in the 300 block of East Broadway Street. The homeowner had called 911 to report someone trying to break into her house by prying open a front window. Police found Jones, who they described as highly intoxicated, on the woman's front porch. While she ended up deciding not to press charges, police did arrest Jones for disorderly conduct while intoxicated. Why wouldn't that be a name? I don't understand. Finding an open pocket knife in his pants pocket, police also charged him with carrying a concealed weapon. At his community control violation hearing in December of 2018, Jones was found to have violated probation again. He was committed to the work release program for only 60 days and given 2 weeks to find a job. Aside from a disorderly conduct while intoxicated charge in May of 2019, which was later dismissed, Jones' next encounter with police would be the assault of his wife on the second floor balcony of their apartment in July of 2019. That was witnessed by Miss Silva and other neighbors. In April of 2020, Jones was on the receiving end of a violent argument with a neighbor. According to police, around 1 a.m., April 21st of 2020, Jones, then 28 years of age, entered the neighboring residence of James Hardick, 29 years of age, of the 400 block of 4th Street without his knowledge. Another man at the residence, Jonathan Hardwick, age 26, heard Jones allegedly make entry. During a verbal exchange between the two, Mr. Hardwick fired at least one round from his .40 caliber pistol, striking Jones in the chest, according to Toledo police. Jones was transported to Mercy Health Street, Vincent Medical Center. Mr. Hardwick was never charged for that shooting. His last apparent encounter with police prior to the disappearance of Kei'Mani was in August of 2022, when he was arrested for a third-degree felony in possession of a firearm and the misdemeanor offense of discharging a firearm, possession of drug paraphernalia, and disorderly conduct while intoxicated. In that case, police responded to a shot spider alert and found Jones lying in a parking lot of a daycare at 11:30 p.m. at night, highly intoxicated and clutching a firearm. The misdemeanor charges were subsequently dismissed at the request of the prosecutor, and Jones ended up pleading guilty to a lesser offense of attempted having weapons while under disability, which is a fourth-degree felony, and using weapons while intoxicated, which is a first-degree misdemeanor. Lord have mercy. At his sentence in November of 2022, Lucas County Common Pleas Judge Lindsay Navarra found Jones is not amendable to community control and did sentence him to 12 months in prison for the felony and 180 days in the Correction Center of Northwest Ohio for the misdemeanor. The sentences were to run concurrently. So a judge finally did something. Life on Willard Street. Following the completion of his sentence, Jones ended up settling on Willard Street in East Toledo. His neighbors there were contacted by the Blade, recalled far more sedate encounters with the accused murderer. Tony Fuller, a neighbor, said he never would have thought Jones would be charged with the unaliving of his own daughter. He was laid back, he said, just cool. I don't know what he was thinking. One of Jones' Willard Street neighbors, who would only give his first name as Kyle, said he knew Jones and Kei'Mani. He said he would watch his daughter play with Kei'Mani on their street. She was always out here with my daughter, and Jones was always on the porch, Kyle said. I wish she would have said something. Cynthia Beckwith said she didn't even know that he lived on her street, which is horrifying. She said, in commenting on Kei'Mani's unaliving, she didn't deserve that at all, Miss Beckwith added. I'm a grandma, so that just tore me up. She should have had somebody really protecting her because she was definitely in danger with that character, in reference to Jones. Nina Turner, an ex-girlfriend, said she was surprised when she heard about the charges. The pair share a 3-year-old daughter. Ms. Turner said Jones was never violent towards her. He went to work every day. He would come home and took care of the household. He never whooped the kids or yelled at them. When Kei'Mani first came up missing, they made it seem like she was a runaway. Ms. Turner said, I'm thinking we were looking for a runaway until they pulled the evidence out of her home. It was her family that alerted her to him hiding evidence there, she said. Once I seen what it was, I knew that there was something more than just her running away. After police collected that evidence from her home, Ms. Turner said she went to stay with family because she was scared of the evidence they pulled out of her home. People were suspecting that she was involved with Kei'Mani's unaliving, an allegation Ms. Turner definitely denies. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have found the evidence enough to charge him in the first place, Ms. Turner says. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have found him at all. That was the reason they were able to find him. Mr. Jones did call from a text now number, and she called it back. And then that person called her and gave her the exact address and city that he was in. She then called detectives, and they knew exactly what neighborhood to search. Last but not least, members of Columbus SWAT team scoured the Victorian Village neighborhood where they found his car abandoned on Monday night, just after 10 a.m. Tuesday. An officer spotted Jones, whose head appeared to be freshly shaved, and approached him at the corner of Denison and 2nd Avenue. Jones exchanged gunfire with police and was subsequently arrested. So that's what we know. And then today we know that he allegedly made a full confession. But what I think, you guys, is he gave them more information than what they had. Since he was the last person known to be with Kei'Mani, he did give that statement to the police. I think he followed up and gave more information, since the girlfriend reported that evidence was brought to her home. I'm sure all that's been turned in, along with that Ring camera footage. We talked about that on the last live. We do know that there was some sort of Ring camera footage, and Jones was urging her to get rid of it. But what we also know, and what's been reported and circulating on social media, was that at some point during that phone call, Jones made an admission that Kei'Mani's grandmother, Dorothy Latigue, somehow was implemented. So that is what is so strange about this whole story, because they're saying Darnell said Dorothy had something to do with it. And if you guys go back to that TikTok live he made, and he was in distress and he was obviously having a mental breakdown, it did seem like he knew something, wanted to say something, but didn't say something. So it's really hard to believe that he acted alone in the unaliving of Kei'Mani. It's heartbreaking to think that of what she went through. I'm sure she was just so scared. They're also saying that tips were made. Let me make sure this is the one, y'all. Okay. Wait a minute. Let's do this. They're also saying that a tip came in the police into where they could find Kei'Mani's deceased body. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Okay. Y'all know the rest. But they're saying they received a tip about the body that was found in that house. That's how you guys first. Well, this is the question they're asking to the police detective. That's how you guys first found out about it being there, correct? They respond by saying, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Actually, which tip? Through detective work, really, through some interviews and investigating at this time, I can't disclose why or how, because it's still very permanent to the investigation. But yes, it was our detectives doing a great job interviewing and investigating, following up on some leads that got them to that location. So I believe it was OC Girl on the last live that asked that really good question. How did they know to go to the abandoned house to look for her? Okay, so they're saying tips and leads. And that's why it's so, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, nobody mess with police, and that's street code for snitching. But if you see something, know something, this could definitely come, help them, aid them in an investigation. Okay, so we do know that without the ex-girlfriend making that call, Darnell would not even been picked up here in Columbus. Okay, he'd probably still be out on the run. So people did what they needed to do for Kei'Mani. They definitely came together. We're going to take a quick break and take a look at all the love that was shown at Kei'Mani during her birthday. Again, this baby touched the hearts of a lot of people. Just as her story touched a lot of people. And our hearts are with her as well. Let me make sure I've got it, y'all, here.
Oh, it was the girlfriend.
Y'all know I always do that. I be losing these videos, y'all. I do apologize. Let's see. So I hope you all were able to see that video clear. But I mean, that is an abandoned structure that her body was found in, and it looks like Christmas out there. the way they decorated with the balloons and the teddy bears and the candles. And I mean, that whole end of that block was all about Kei'Mani last Friday on her birthday. She died, passed away just days within turning 14 years of age. So I want everybody to definitely reflect on that. Please reflect on that. That baby did not make it to see 14 years of age. And again, I got to shout out Toledo because in the wake of what happened in the devastating situation, you all showed up and showed out for her. I just wish that would have taken place for her during her life. I wish somebody would have cared enough to say something's not right with that family, that grandmother's suspicious, the dad's a little weird and all, bio mom's not nowhere around, something's off. You know, people are reporting now and speaking out now, but it's too late. So please just reflect on that. We're going to get into this real quick video of the mom. I did not get this whole video, but I will post this young lady's information down so you all can go take a look at the full interview yourselves. Bio mom did take to social media, and she gave some information that was pretty damaging, I thought, as well. Let's take a look.
And then they started bouncing her back and forth between the two.
Okay, so this basically lines up with what the grandmother, how the grandmother said that she was there off and on for about 5 years. Would that be fair to say?
My daughter's about to be 14 tomorrow. No. No, that's still not accounting for, that's accounting for like 3 to 4 years.
Okay, so that timeline is just a little bit conflicted. Okay, so during this time of her being there, how many years did you fight for your daughter after she was born?
Oh, I've always fought. Hey, I'm on the phone. No, do not open that door. No. You want to go out there? You can go out there and play if you want to. But I can't have you playing in here. But no, I've always fought for my daughter. I've fought for my daughter since the day that I had her.
Give me 1 second. I pressed the button. I'm sorry. So say that again because I pressed my mixer. My apologies. Say that one more time for me.
I said I've always been fighting for my daughter. That fight has never ended. In June, my mother was supposed to be signing a third-party custody transfer so that I could get my baby back because she said that she did not want her anymore. She said my daughter was stealing, my daughter was lying. I don't know that any of that is factual, and I don't believe it. But she said that my daughter was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and she just couldn't take it anymore. She wanted me to get my daughter. We were supposed to be going to court for that, to give me custody of my daughter back, because every place that I've had, I've always had space for my daughter. I've always made sure I had means to take care of.
Right. So this abuse, what do you know about this abuse? Because one thing that I'm noticing is that there's a fair consensus from multiple family members that she was getting hit on by the grandmother. Did you know anything about this, and how long did you know, and what steps did you take outside of, fighting for custody?
My did a very good job of as far as I think that was so that they would be able to do what it was that they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it. Again, I still have my parental rights, but because they are guardian, because they are custodian, if they don't give me the go ahead, I can't do anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, did you hear about the abuse? Like, how did you know anything about the abuse that the grandmother was doing?
I didn't hear about the abuse until the only thing that I've seen, because I've never even seen my mother hit my daughter other than like a spoon, like a wooden spoon to her hand. I haven't witnessed any of that, and I think that was for a reason.
Okay, and she is your biological mother, because that was in question as well, correct?
That is my biological mother, unfortunately. How they ended up, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Y'all are so loud. I cannot not even think of.
Okay, so that was just like a real quick snippet. I tried to make it quick, so that I didn't, violate her, copyright information. But she basically was telling this blogger over on Bingo, that she lost custody due to medical neglect because she didn't seek medical care during her pregnancy. I don't think they would have kept Kei'Mani, her mother, out of her life for 14 years for something like that, especially because she stated that she had a doula and a midwife, and she brought paperwork down to Toledo, and they still snatched her parental rights. And the godmother at that point became the guardian, gained legal guardianship of Kei'Mani at 1 year of age. Fast forward 2025, she's still in the care of someone else that's not her biological mother. The mother stated that she had other children. So Kei'Mani did have half siblings. She did state to the blogger at one point she was living out of her car, but sending at one point $600 to the grandmother because they didn't have food, sending $100. The whole story was just really all over the place. And I do remember telling Not I'm watching OC Girl, she's a little suspect to me herself, but I can't really speak on how a person grieves. She's grieving in her own way. But there was just a lack of emotion for me. I do understand that she was not a permanent fixture or whatever in Kei'Mani's life, but why wasn't she at least getting visitation with Kei'Mani? Why is the other family members stating that she only came around to fuss and argue with the grandmother over owing $900 in child support and things like that? This family, in my opinion, y'all, this is not a tight-knit family. This is not a family that have supported each other. And Kei'Mani, unfortunately, felt the blunt of it. Definitely. Grandmother saying she doesn't even know if Darnell's her biological father. I don't care if I had her 2 days, 2 years, 20 years in my care. I'm not going to send her with somebody that I don't even know for sure if that's her father. The mom would have to produce some proof that this man is her father before I let her go off with him. There's just things that you do as a mother, grandmother, auntie, godmother. You know how we do, ladies. We look after our babies, and we'll look after the next woman's babies. This was so disturbing to me. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. I do have a statement from a young lady from Facebook who was not Kei'Mani's biological cousin, but she had some choice words for Dorothy. She was definitely upset, and when she making this statement, she said Kei'Mani's grandmother failed her. It was never safe or smart to leave Kei'Mani by herself. Kei'Mani's mental is not like a 13-year-old. The grandmother lied. The grandmother described her as the opposite of how she really is in that interview. So they've been turned up on Facebook, y'all. Family members are popping out of the woodwork. Like I said, stories to tell. Nobody thought to ring the phone off the hook down there at CPS. Teachers spoke out. Their outcries were ignored. It's a lot of people that need to be held responsible for what happened to this baby, y'all. And I'm just keeping it real. In the midst of all of this going on, Kei'Mani's funeral was postponed. The Latigue family expressed gratitude for community support following the tragic loss of Kei'Mani Latigue, and the support of the Brown Legacy Memorial Funeral Home. They extend their heartfelt gratitude to the community following the overwhelming outpouring of love, prayers, and support following her tragic loss of the beloved Princess Kei'Mani Latigue. During the unimaginable time of grief, your kindness and compassion has been a source of comfort and strength for the family. So it says, and I'm gonna leave this up here so y'all can read it yourselves. I am just tired of reading, y'all. But $6,000 was raised to date, and that was their halfway goal in contributions that they were asking for to be applied to cover Kei'Mani's funeral expenses. They didn't meet that goal last time I checked on it. However, the funeral itself was postponed because they're saying the director of the funeral home had some charges of sexual assault of minors. And there was a lot of people coming to Facebook speaking out saying that he should not be in charge of overseeing her funeral, dealing directly with the family. They just postponed it. So yes, another step back in what's going on with this situation. And I just want to ask y'all in Toledo, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all ain't checking up on folk. Y'all not running background checks. Y'all not what we like to say over here in YouTube world, doxing people. Y'all just letting any and everybody around these babies. This is just despicable. What are y'all doing? This baby needs to be put in the ground. All monies and proceeds that have been raised in her honor need to go to where they need to go. We don't need money scams coming up. We just don't need this. Okay. So we looking into that as well, y'all. Again, and let's just keep in mind this story, this case is developing. So we're going to keep a very close eye on what goes on here within this next couple of days. I'm thinking, we've checked. Darnell is still hospitalized. He has not been released to Franklin County Corrections. As we know, we don't know when he will be, and we do not know when he'll be transferred back to Toledo. He is charged. He's got some charges against SWAT because he brandished a gun and threatened them. So he's got to definitely stand and look a judge in the face for that, and then carry on to what was going on with Kei'Mani. Let's take a short and a little quick intermission.
I have a big heart, and sometimes I hate it. I overthink, I over-apologize, I over-forgive. I care too much about people who don't really care about me. I feel guilty about things that I don't have any control over. And I try to save everyone around me before I even think about saving myself. I love too deep, and I feel alone sometimes because I'm not sure if I'll ever find someone else who thinks like me, or who feels like me, or who views the world like me. I'm not conceited by any means because I know I'm not perfect, but I do have a big heart, and sometimes I hate it.
So again, thank you. That's specifically for my strong hearts. Please make sure you're subbed to the channel. Again, hit that like, share the live, and that post notification bell so you receive all the content. Let's get to some comments. Nama Watch said, what was her flipping out over the $900? Yeah, that's what the direct cousin of hers took to. No, I think she made a statement and said that she wasn't even in her life. She was just coming back and forth, arguing with with Dorothy Latigue over $900 in child support she owed. His criminal background, he would not have went at all. Exactly. So nobody's following up on what's going on with Darnell and his criminal background. He's in the presence of Kei'Mani. Should he even been allowed to be around her? The grandmother herself is saying she doesn't even know if Darnell's her biological father. That was just all really disturbing to me. Come on, we got to do better. And it's like, if you don't want these babies, place them in a far. And I hate to tell people to resort to that, but if they're going to get fed up and tired of being parents, they need to allow somebody that wants to be a parent be a parent. And they're saying Kei'Mani did not have the mental capacity of a 13-year-old. She was more like on a younger age scale. The school didn't report that. I didn't see anything as far as her having behavior issues, of the school reporting that she was in special needs classes. She loved basketball. They said she was a light and a joy in the classroom. And following her disappearance, she was that same week that she was reported missing, they were going to honor her with a real Bright Star award at school. So I don't even know why it's being reported that she was like, slowly disabled or anything like that. It's just crazy. This information is just floating around, and we are still trying to weed through what's true and what's not true. Okay, let's take a look at this.
Here it is. Y'all, so he confessed to everything, allegedly. So, from my understanding, he is still alive. So, I wanted to come on here and clear that up. He is still alive, y'all. He was involved in a pew-pewing with the police, but they did not unalive him. So, my apologies for saying he was unalived. He is still alive, but he did confess to the murder and the raping. And he also said how he did it was he slit her throat to the point where it almost took her head off. Like, and removed her hands. Like, why? So he is in police custody currently and facing murder charges as well as SA charges. The grandmother came out and gave an interview saying that she knew nothing about this. She was very unemotional in the interview and said that, her granddaughter in her mind was under the care of her father when he was around him. She said there was never any indication of SA or any kind of grooming happening between them, and he, from her mindset, seemed like he was trying. In reality, Kei'Mani was getting SA'd, y'all, to the point where he was raping her often. This was happening often. And now that all this is coming out, the grandmother is saying that she's surprised and she knew nothing about this. Oh my God, rest in peace to this beautiful angel. Another little girl gone within 6 months. This is heartbreaking.
So I definitely wanted to play that clip because I even saw a video where they're saying Kei'Mani had her limbs. The detective on the case went public and stated that she did not have her limbs. Both arms were moved. Head damn near decapitated. So why y'all are coming on social media and reporting something that she's had an autopsy done, a full autopsy done? Why y'all are deciding to come to social media and change the narrative of what was dreadfully done to this baby? I don't know. Okay, but this needs the information of how she was unalived is very important. Is very important, and everybody needs to know about it. Everybody should be talking about it, in my opinion. So tell the facts, state the facts, and put them out there. Okay. If Darnell had an accomplice, which may have been the cousin, we don't know. If it was somebody else unnamed, an investigation is taking place and that will come out in the wash. But as of right now, we do know that he has made statements from the hospital implementing himself. That's what we do know. Okay. And the manner in which she was unalived was horrific. Okay. Y'all, please make sure that you check out missingkids.org. And I'll play that video one more time. This is a national outcry for our missing kids. So please contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children or go to missingkids.org or call the number on the screen if you suspect or know of someone who's missing. Because what we do know is Kei'Mani did not run away. She didn't walk away. She did not run away. She was taken, of course, by someone that she should have been able to trust. Someone that they're saying may allegedly be her father. Okay. And no Amber Alert was put out for Kei'Mani. They assumed she was a runaway. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up on Kei'Mani and this information that we have thus far. I'm going to continue to watch out for any new leads. I'm combing through information, guys. So as I get it, I'll put it out there for you all. But familiarize yourself with the story, the case. Keep an eye out on it. um, as often as you can. Hashtag justice for Kei'Mani Latigue. Okay. And in other news, I also wanted to put a public service announcement out for residents of Ohio how important it is to be very, very careful with your sexual health, your sexual partners, practicing safe sex. A news report came out that there was a gentleman out in the Cuyahoga location, which is Cleveland, Ohio, knowingly spreading HIV. That gentleman took to social media and he showed us a disturbing video of himself admitting to knowing he had HIV and spreading it as well. Let's take a look.
Niggas fucking the same hoes that I'm fucking. I'm secure. I secured my spot. But I had HIV since 2009. Yeah. A lot of bitches out of fuck. A lot of bitches out of fuck. A lot of bitches I'm still fucking. A lot of bitches that already know this. A lot of bitches that's putting it out there is the ones that know this. So I'm gonna let y'all know. My book coming. Book coming ASAP. All these hoes and you bitch ass niggas gonna be talking shit. Yeah, I hit y'all up. I'm still here.
So this gentleman had a really big smile on his face saying that he knew he was HIV positive, knew his status since 2009. He recorded this video live publicly, I think last month. Okay. He's bragging about effing a lot of bees, bee, niggas. I did your bees. This they know, they knew. They put it out there now, but they knew. This is devastating to the community. A lot of people showed up to the health department, from what I heard, to get tested and tested positive because they knew they had slept with this gentleman. So ladies, men too, but everybody just please be careful, use caution, learn your status, get yourself tested. This is a really, really ugly world we live in, y'all. I mean, it's so much hatred, so much pain out here circulating, and you don't know who you're dealing with. Be cautious about who you deal with, especially who you're laying down with, who you're making babies with. It's so much to be cautious about in today's day and age. In 2025, people dropping like flies, playing with their health, not caring. Care about yourself, okay? So y'all, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do appreciate everybody being here. Please continue to keep an eye out on my community wall. I'm posting all kinds of different things. I'm really honing in and focusing on sex exploitation and trafficking in America. I'm trying to gain resources, put that towards the nonprofit. I want you all to get on board with doing some more community work when it comes to these topics. We need to educate ourselves as much as possible, and we need to do the groundwork to make some changes. We all as a community can stand together and make some changes, but we got to work together. All right. So with that being said, again, I appreciate everybody that came through the building. Thank you so much, Cheese, for dropping those banners for me. If you want to drop those links one last time, again, you all sub to those channels. Make sure you're subbing to those channels and helping them go live and, getting their numbers up so they can go live. Also, we'll be back and I'm going to try really hard to start coming back and being here twice a week. And y'all can hold me personally accountable if I don't. Okay. But I'm doing better. I'm getting the motivation, the momentum back up, and I'm going to do my best. Okay. So with that being said, everybody stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay healthy. Look out for each other. Stay prayed up. And be good. TT love you. See you later.